Just a quick note before we get into today's video. At the end of this video, I will be briefly talking about the passing of two professional wrestlers who are definitely very impactful in the sport. If you don't care about stuff like that, I completely understand. I just wanted to let you guys know that at the end of the video, there will be some stuff about them. So stick around if you like that sort of stuff and want to hear my thoughts on it. My disappointment is immeasurable in my day, my week, my month, maybe even the rest of the year. Is ruined. This is why I try not to have faith in anything. This is why I always expect something is going to go wrong. Something is going to go bad with this situation. And with that mentality, you become a very negative person and your therapist questions why you are the way you are. But now I have something to point to. Now I have something new to be like, look, I was promised that I was going to love this, and it's a disappointment. It let me down. They lied to me. They dangled the carrot in front of my face to make me excited, to make me joyous about this. And then they find out it's crap in a box. And I, of course, talking about the Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 1. Now, I am a big Metal Gear Solid fan. I love Metal Gear Solid, except 5 with Kiefer Sutherland. Like, look, the gameplay is good in 5. It's just the story, the voice acting, I can't get into it. I'm sorry. If you love that game, that's good for you. It's not the game for me. I love Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, 4, Peace Walker, Portable Ops, Acid, I don't like those games. But the mainline Metal Gear Solid games have always been awesome. And to see this collection coming to all platforms was very exciting. But the most exciting thing was the fact that this was coming to Nintendo Switch. Because I was excited for this, because it's like, awesome, this is great. This is the first time some of these games have been available on a Nintendo platform. To have them all in one place, to be able to play these games, 7 Metal Gear games from various consoles, NES, MSX, PS1, PS2, great stuff. You're adding in bonus content, great stuff. What could go wrong with this? What could go wrong with this? Now, I remember some stupid ass friend, John the Idiot, on the Spawncast. He's kind of like John the Baptist, but he's an idiot. He asked me a question on one of the Spawncast episodes after this was announced. He said, is Konami back? I think Konami's back. And I was like, no, they're not back. They're making good strides. They're talking about things that people are interested in. They're starting to hype people up with games like Silent Hill 2 Remake, the Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 1, and the Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake. But it comes down to execution. You have to be able to execute on these things. You can announce games and release games, but if they suck, it's like, well, who cares? You've wasted my time. But John was like, Konami's back. Well, they're not back. Because when you look at how they're handling the Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 1 on the Nintendo Switch, it just shows you it's the same old Konami. And I've worked with Konami before. I've talked to them. They'll probably watch this video. But what the hell were you thinking? What the hell were you thinking? And I'm not talking about the fact that you have to download 95% of it on your Switch. I don't care about that. I know people say, oh, you know, physical games, preservation, and this, that, and the other. And it's like, okay, but I mean, they're just older games that a lot of people already own. I own this collection on the PlayStation 3, and I own the collection on my Xbox 360 that these are going to be based off of. Yes, Metal Gear Solid 1 isn't on there, but they're not doing anything to Metal Gear Solid 1. It's the same old Metal Gear Solid 1, which is fine, but you couldn't throw a texture filter on there. No, I'm not talking about all the download crap. I'm talking about the damn performance of these games. Because it's been announced, we talked about this a couple days ago, that Konami did a preview event. And at this preview event, there were some issues with the Switch version. People were like, oh, what's up with this? Frame rate seems off. And they were like, oh, well, we're trying to get it up to the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 versions, which ran at 60 frames per second for Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3. So they gave us hope. They gave us more hope. They dangled that carrot in front of us. They said, oh, we're gonna fix it. Don't worry. But no. After the preview event, they announced that the Switch versions will be 1080p, 30 frames per second docked, 720p, 30 frames per second in handheld mode. PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 versions, and they're the same versions. They're pretty much the same versions. These versions of the game, which ran at 60 frames per second, on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 are not running at 60 frames on the Nintendo Switch. They're PlayStation 2 games that were slightly enhanced. You didn't redo all the damn textures. You didn't do anything. You just put them all together. But they can't run at 60 frames. Like, I don't understand this. I don't understand this. Now, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series versions will be running at 60 frames per second. They should be. These are PlayStation 3 games, Xbox 360 games, which are technically PlayStation 2 games. But the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 version run at 60 frames per second. And I'm not even saying that that's the end of the world for these games. Because if you played these games originally, they weren't hitting 60 frames per second on the PlayStation 2 or anything like that. The bigger problem is this just signifies that this is half-assed. Because there's no rhyme or reason that this game shouldn't be running at 60 frames per second on the Switch. And I know what you're saying. Well, RGT, Red Dead didn't run at 60 frames per second on the Switch. Blah, blah, blah. Red Dead was 30 natively. Red Dead was 30 on the PlayStation 3, 30 on the Xbox 360. This isn't a downgrade, it's a parallel thing with potentially better on the Switch because they enhance some of the colors and the textures of it. Okay? It's a different story. When you're taking a game that's 60 frames per second from a decade ago, a decade plus ago, and you're bringing it over to the Switch and you're like, oh, darn it. We can't hit that 60 frames per second on the Switch. You know, it's like bullshit. It's half-assed. It's half-assed, and my biggest fears are coming to life with this. I don't care about the download stuff. I don't care. I don't care. And yes, I could just play these games via emulation, and I could do texture packs and ISO hacks and stuff like that. I own the games on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, but you know what this is feeling like? Give me a second here. It's feeling like this version of Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 for the PlayStation Vita, which struggled at times to hit 30 frames per second. These are what are considered to be the best handheld versions. And this should have been a home run, an easy grand slam for Nintendo Switch owners to have the superior versions of this. And I don't know that they're going to be better than this. The resolution will be a little bit better, but it's like at what cost? My disappointment is inconceivable, and my day is ruined. Because I don't understand this. I don't understand this half-assedness. And if this is what Konami is going to do with their big return, with games like Silent Hill 2, they're just going to kind of skirt along and half-ass it. They're going to do that with the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. They're going to skirt along and half-ass it. They're not back. You are not back until you prove to me that you are back with quality releases. You can announce everything under the sun. You can announce a Castlevania DS collection that you're going to export out. You know, don't be talking about the Contra and Castlevania stuff in the comment sections. Konami themselves did not handle that. Konami is spearheading this operation of the re-releases of Metal Gear Solid. They're spearheading the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. They have outsourced Silent Hill 2 for whatever reason. My disappointment is off the charts. I'm disgusted. But I'm probably still going to buy it anyways because I got to review the damn game for you guys. Let me know what you think of this in the comments section down below. Am I overreacting? To which I'll say, no, I'm not overreacting. You're underreacting. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. We are going to end this with a little bit of somberness. Two professional wrestlers have recently passed away. Bray Wyatt and Terry Funk. Bray Wyatt was only 36 years old, obviously a big WWE star, known as The Fiend. I wasn't the biggest fan of his, honestly, because I don't really watch too much modern WWE, but I definitely appreciated his very creative mind. I think he was a real visionary when it came to storytelling and just creating a character. You know, it was very different. It was very fresh. It was very unique, especially for WWE standards. And 36 is just, man, that's 2 years younger than me. Like, that's way too young to go out. So rest in peace to Bray Wyatt. Respects to his family, friends, the return to family. He has a kid. He had a kid on the way. You know, that's tough, man. That's tough. And Terry Funk. Now, Terry Funk, I was a fan of. Terry Funk ain't wearing no mouthpiece. And I think even if you don't care about professional wrestling, there's something you can take away from Terry Funk. And that was you know, the old saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's like, well, that's not true, because Terry Funk was an old dog, but he was always reinventing himself. Like, he went from like this, you know, sort of a bit of a strong style, I guess, grappler, to like a hardcore icon. Like, yeah, he was dabbling in hardcore stuff, but like as he got older, he was doing moonsaults off of the top rope and stuff like that. And it's like, bro, you're not supposed to be doing that at your old age. But he was always reinventing himself. He was always, you know, trying to do things differently, and I think that's so admirable. You know, a great storyteller, a great promo. That one hurts. I was a pretty big, or I am a pretty big fan of Terry Funk, and to see him no longer around definitely stings a bit, man. He was very impactful to the world of professional wrestling, but I guess I could find, you know, some sort of peace in knowing that he lived to be 79. You know, a lot of wrestlers, you know, look at Bray Wyatt, you know, unfortunately he passed away to health complications, but a lot of professional wrestlers don't see that sort of age. So he lived a full life, and he did it his way. You know, like that Sinatra song, My Way. I love that song because that's how Terry Funk lived his life. So rest in peace to Terry Funk. Condolences to his family and friends and loved ones. Rest in peace to Bray Wyatt. Condolences to his family, friends, and loved ones. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.